Good evening, everyone. My name is Susan Reyna Guerrero, and I'm here today with Brittney. For the next 30 minutes, you'll be hearing about one of Beacon's programs, the Beacon's Family Homes Project. It's a live call-in show, so if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to call. The number is 312-738-1060. Just a little bit of background on Beacon. We started in 1968 as a therapeutic day school for children, and fast forward to today, we're a multi-service agency. We have a variety of locations. Our administrative offices are located at 1912 West 103rd. Our homeless outreach services are located at 117th and Western. We have a Calumet Park location and a Longwood campus location. We do offer a myriad of services. We have our therapeutic day schools, which provide educational services to children K through 12. We have our shelter outreach services that provides mobile mental health services to homeless women and children. We have a CHIPPER program that enrolls children, and particularly homeless and runaway youth, into Illinois' All Kids program. We offer early home-based Head Start services for children ages birth to 3. We have a FACT project that works with young moms ages 18 to 25 who have one child under the age of 5. We have the Family Homes Project, and HOME stands for Housing Outreach Mobile Engagement Services. And today Brittney's going to talk a little bit about that program. We have a PATH program. We have a little intensive outpatient program that works with children ages 3 to 5, most who have been homeless and need developmental services intensely during the day. We have a traditional intensive outpatient program and an outpatient mental health clinic. What I'd like to think we do is really creating new endings from disadvantaged beginnings, and that's become our focalized approach as we do our work and all the programs that we talk about, in terms of really recognizing that some of the challenges that our families have faced and how we're creating new endings for them. So I'm really pleased today to have Brittney with us. Brittney has been accessing services from our Family Homes Project that launched in March. And the Family Homes Project was something that's emanated from the national movement. It's called 100,000 Homes Movement. And I'm going to put some information on that initiative. And it's a national grassroots effort to essentially house some of the most vulnerable and long-term homeless individuals and families. And the target is to house 100,000 of those households across the country by July of 2013. We've been very excited that Chicago really led the charge in doing some family work in particular. And so we launched, as with some fortunate funding from the Chicago Community Trust, the HOMES Project, which stands for Family Housing Outreach Mobile Engagement Services. And essentially what Beacon is doing is targeting families. Our partner that's targeting individuals is Heartland Health Outreach, and we're both doing this work currently under the auspices of the Center for Housing and Health, which is an offshoot of the AIDS Foundation of Chicago. And so what we've been doing is we helped develop the Family Vulnerability Index, and as a result, that allowed certain families to be identified as needing more assistance or needing assistance in finding housing. And so Brittney's been one of the recipients of that services. So welcome, Brittney. Thank you for coming today.
No problem.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, you've been working with the Homes team how long now?
I've been working with the Homes team since I believe about, I want to say maybe April or May.
Okay, yeah, so we launched in March, and I know it's a team of 2 folks. And so tell me a little bit about, you had the vulnerability index, you took the vulnerability index assessment. Tell me a little bit about that. Do you remember any of the questions they asked or what some of the things were that they were looking for?
Actually, I don't remember what the questions were, but I remember when I did take the vulnerability index, I was at a shelter, and so I met my caseworker that I'm working with now from the 100,000 Homes through another caseworker from Beacon that I was talking to. She was a therapist. Okay. And so that's how I ended up meeting Tara Keisha.
Oh, so Tara Keisha has been your therapist that you've been working with?
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of services have you accessed through Tara Keisha?
Basically, I've accessed the 100,000 Homes. She's recently got me housed. I'm in my own apartment now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm actually going to put some pictures of that because I think it's really, really wonderful.
Okay.
So that's who are we looking at?
Oh, we're looking at my son that's being held by Tara Keisha. His name is Sean.
That's him.
I'm holding, that's Chase with the hat on. And I'm holding my daughter Ariel.
And how old are your kids?
Ariel is 1, Sean is 2, and Chase just made 3 on Halloween.
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Yeah.
So you were recently housed.
Yes.
And then how long had you been in the shelter?
I was in the shelter for about 3 months. And then I ended up leaving the shelter, and then I stayed with my mom about 2 months, and then that's when I got housed.
Can you tell us a little bit about what led you to, how did you end up in the shelter?
Basically, it was with a family dispute. That's what led me in the shelter, but I didn't go straight to the shelter after the family dispute. I went and stayed with a friend, and then after that, that's when I decided to just go into the shelter because I heard that the shelter could help you get housed, so then that's when I went.
How long had you been, how long did it take from when you left from the family dispute to when you were housed? How long did that time take about?
I would say it took about 6 months.
So the reason I ask is that I think that time and kind of uncertainty must have been very difficult for yourself and for your kids.
Yes, it was actually very stressful because, that was my main goal. I wanted to get housed so bad because, when I had my first my first son, Chase, that's when I already knew that I had to get housed because by me having children, I didn't want to put that burden on somebody else and live in their home. I wanted to live in my own home and take care of my kids, and so they could have a stable environment and feel safe. So that's when I decided that I knew I had to get my own home.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful because I think we always talk about the importance of mothers being able to be mothers, and clearly that's what you're talking about, is that you really wanted something stable and safe for your children.
Yes.
What was it like living in the shelter?
The shelter was very stressful for me because basically you're following somebody else's rules and you have to go by what they say when they say to do it. And basically for my children, I felt like it was kind of hard on them because I had heard stories when I was in the shelter about people actually raising their children in the shelter, and the children grow up to just be so angry about that, and that's something I did not want for my children.
If I can ask, had you had exposure to any shelter life prior to yourself? Being in the shelter with your children?
Actually, no, this was my first time actually being in a shelter, so that made it scary and stressful and very nervous. I was so nervous the first time I went.
I could imagine. So how did you talk to your children about that? How did they deal with it?
Actually, my children, they adapted well, but that was actually something I got scared of because I didn't want them to become adapted to the shelter life.
That's interesting because then they would kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
How has it been for them now? So you got your place how long ago?
I got my place going on 2 months now.
2 months. Look at that smile that's coming over your face. What's your place like?
It's a 2-bedroom. It's all hardwood floors. It's a nice sized living room and a nice sized kitchen, and I have a nice sized bathroom.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I know part of what the homes. Well, tell me what some of the services are that a homes team is still providing for you, or what do they do to help you with your housing?
Actually, after they found me housing, they provided me with glasses, they bought the kids diapers, they provided me with the bathroom set. Also, they provided me with dishes, they provided the kids with the bed and some pillows and everything. And also they
I think we have a picture of a mattress, right? Isn't that one of the things that we
yeah.
So we got so is this a crib mattress for the baby probably?
No, actually it's a toddler mattress for the boys.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then Tara Keisha, she introduced me to an early head start for my boys so they can, become developmentally stable also.
And I know, well, you also have a baby.
Yes.
So that's how are you juggling the 3 kids and yourself?
I'm not going to lie, it's actually, sometimes it can become overwhelming, but at the end of the day, I love them to death. They have me laughing all day long.
Well, we were just talking, hoping they were watching, but apparently they're watching Spider-Man.
Yeah, they're
right?
watching Spider-Man.
Watching Spider-Man. So, how is your routine changed now that you have your own place?
Actually, the routine basically right now, I'm mostly in the house because I don't trust everybody with my kids, and basically right now I'm trying to become an Avon representative. That way I can do something, and then I'm trying to get back into school.
Oh, what are you interested in terms of school?
Actually, I've had a lot of things that I was interested in. But talking to a recent friend, I decided that the best thing for me to do would be go to. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's
would
okay.
be to become a dentist, because you don't get too many of those.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And I think there's a lot of things along the way that you can start learning that can maybe help you getting some income and some other things. Is this something that the family homes team has been talking to you about in terms of any kind of educational or employment or along those kinds of lines?
Yes, actually, we were talking about that. Tarakeisha and I, we were talking about actually for me to go back to school and then start working, because it'll be kind of hard to juggle the children and going to school and working all together.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I can do it because my mom, she did it. She had 3 children, and she juggled going to work and she juggled going to school. So that's basically my biggest idol.
Yeah, that's a big goal. It's an important goal. I'd like to remind everyone that this is a live call-in show. If you have any questions or comment on Beacon services or for Brittney, the number is 312-738-1060. And we're talking about the Beacon's Homes Project, which is working with highly vulnerable families, helping them quickly get housed, and then providing the necessary services and resources to keep them housed. So I guess, Brittney, where would you see yourself going or being, let's say, in the next 3 years?
The next 3 years, hopefully I would have a degree in something, because I want to get a degree in something in order to start working. That way I can go back to school and provide for my children at the same time.
And your kids will be in school
Yes.
in 3 years. What would you say has been one of the biggest challenges for you in your situation?
One of the biggest challenges... wait, are you talking about before I got housed?
Mm-hmm.
Or...
Before you got housed.
The biggest is actually not having any education to get a job, because, basically you need a degree in something in order to get a job. And then basically that I had my children fast, back to back. So it was hard to get a job, and then plus the education, and plus me not having my own place to, raise them the way that I wanted to raise them, because when you basically living in a household with somebody else, it's like they're raising your kids and you're raising your kids, and they're basically telling your kids one thing and you're telling them another.
Well, and it's probably very confusing for your kids on who are they supposed to listen to, you or the other person.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a caller. Is there a question, caller?
I do.
Yes.
My question is to ask Brittney, have you noticed any difference emotionally or socially with your children since you've been housed?
Actually, they've actually been more energetic. But basically, I noticed this change once I was living with my mom, because they felt safe there too. And once I got my own place, because before they were they were very aggressive.
When you were in the shelter?
Yes, like they were angry.
That's a good question, because I think and it's kind of supported by what we know about the impact of homelessness on children, is that, it affects their development, it affects the mother's ability to be a parent. And I think what you're describing is that now that your kids know they're in their own place,
yes,
you're their mom, and they feel safe and secure.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important to help families get housed right away when they lose their housing, because it can quickly make an impact on the child and on the parent. What did your kids say when they finally got their own place?
Actually, they didn't say anything.
They didn't say anything. Well, they probably felt a sense of relief, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Now that you're housed, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges there?
Basically, the biggest challenge is that I want to raise my kids right, because the world now is just crazy. So I just want to make sure they stay on the right path and make sure I can take care of them and keep the roof over their head.
So is the family homes team working with you like on budgeting and trying to, because this is the first time you've had your own place, your very own place. Okay. So I would imagine there's lots of things that you have to juggle. Paying your bills, buying your food, clothing, all those things. Is the homes team helping you sort some of those things out, or did you already know some of those tasks?
Actually, I have different resources helping me. Tarakeisha helped me budget. My mom talks to me on budgeting. My sister, she talked to me on how to get my light bill adjusted to a certain rate every month. And to be honest, I don't really buy my kids expensive clothes because that's not in my budget.
Mm-hmm.
So I buy them the clothes that's in my budget. I don't try to go above and beyond and buy them all these expensive clothes.
Well, that's important. And I know, is the Homes team been able to provide you other resources that you need?
Such as?
I don't know if you need to access any food pantries or any other child care resources or those kinds of things for yourself and your kids.
Actually, by me not having any means of transportation, my caseworker has been kind enough to take me to the store whenever I need her to.
Mm-hmm. Those things I would imagine are important. Excuse me. Are you familiar with the community that you're in? Was this community the one that you came from before, or is this a brand new community?
No, actually, I came from the south side up to the north side, so it was very different.
So is your support network more on the south side then?
Yeah, it was more on the south side, but I mean, I call my mom every day, so it's like the support is still there. So.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, what advice would you give to someone else, perhaps that's watching today and came from your similar situation?
Basically, I would just say never give up, and there's hope out there. So, just keep your head up, and you're going to get your blessings eventually, hopefully sooner than later.
That's great advice. Was it hard for you to accept the help?
No, not really, but it was hard for me to go into the shelter because I felt like, growing up, you hear that the shelter is beneath you. And so it was, I felt like my character was being torn down going to a shelter. And so that's when I just made up in my mind, like, it's for my kids. So that was one of the hardest things to get over, going into the shelter.
Yeah, I think you're really almost describing a real heart-wrenching kind of experience that you have to, agree to do this. But it sounds like when you said it earlier, you really felt you needed to do this in order to try and get the housing that you needed. Mm-hmm. We have a caller. Yes? Callers are...
My question is, I wanted to ask Brittney, what kind of things has she had to learn to do by herself now that she's been housed?
Basically, I've had to learn to... Actually, it's kind of hard because now I have to pay my own bills by myself, have to pay my rent by myself, then I have to deal with the kids on my own, and if I have to go somewhere, I have to get them all bundled up, put them in the stroller, and go to wherever I have to go. But basically, I look at it as being independent and being a mother, so that's what I look at it as. And I know for a fact that I'm going to have to get a job because I'm on public aid, but, that's not going to last forever, and I don't want to be on public aid forever.
And, yeah, I think you're describing it's both it's great to be on your own, mm-hmm. but then you're on your own, and it all falls on you.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, though, do you see the Homes team as is a group of resources that can help you, though, as well?
Yes, because, if I have a question, like, maybe I want to find out where food pantries are, maybe I want to find out about jobs, hiring, or anything, I can just get in contact with them, and they'll look it all up.
That's good. Because I would imagine that provides you just some additional ideas and know that you're not on your own completely.
Yeah.
One thing I'm wondering, and I think this is one of the things that was reviewed before, is that when people think of folks that are homeless, mm-hmm. and what that looks like, has that changed your perception of what it means to be homeless?
Actually, it has, because, before I went into a shelter, I look at homeless people, and actually we used to make jokes about them. Mm-hmm. And so now that I've been in the situation, it's like you don't know what brought that person to that place at all. And so it kind of puts my heart out there, and it makes me want to help them. Because just the other day, it was this lady standing outside of Walgreens, and she was asking for food. And so I went into the store, and I bought her $32 worth of groceries.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's very noble of you. And I think, clearly having been there and faced some real difficult decisions, I'm sure that was very powerful for her. It's very kind of you. We have a caller. Caller?
Oh, hello?
Yes.
Yes, I had a question for the one sitting by you.
Brittney.
When you were in the shelter, did you have fatherly help from like your baby daddy or your husband or whatever like that, or?
Actually, when I went into the shelter, the person that I was living with before I went into the shelter was the father of my children. And so we ended up going into the shelter together. But by us being in the shelter together, that was a lot of stress. And so we ended up breaking up and we departed our separate ways.
Is he still involved? Or?
Yeah, he'll come and see the kids every now and then. But it's to a point where I really don't know if I want to invite him over to my new house to see the children, because I feel like he has grown up to do before he's able to come over.
I think that's a very mature decision that you're making, because I really hear what you've been saying is that there's a firm commitment that your kids are coming first, and it sounds like you're making decisions where your children are coming first. When the show's going to be over in a little bit, and I'm wondering, how do you feel about the type of work that Beacon does and the type of services that you've received?
Actually, I think Beacon is wonderful because I actually really didn't think that I was going to get housed that quickly, because I heard about people being in there for at least a year before they got housed. And so when Beacon came through and then all these housing opportunities opened up, that's when I felt like, okay, I'm going to be able to get through this. I'm going to be able to get housed. Like, there is hope.
That's great, because I think one of the goals with this initiative really is to quickly identify families that really need to be housed. I mean, you're a young mom, you have 3 young children, quickly get you stable, get you in a house and get you in a place and get you on the right track. And what's great about this work is that it's trying to mobilize the people who have housing. And so, I know we have other partners that we work with. We work with Inspiration Corporation or HOW, these other organizations that have housing, and try to get them to identify what their housing units are, and then go ahead and match up the families with the units that are available. And I know with your particular apartment, it's a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom.
It's a 2-bedroom.
It's a 2-bedroom. So it's sometimes hard finding 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. So it's quickly getting you housed and then helping make sure that you stay housed. But there isn't a lot of housing out there, and that's one of the biggest challenges.
Yes.
So how long did it take you from when we started working with you to when you got housed? You just got housed recently, right?
Yes. I would say
about a month or so ago?
No, actually 2 months ago.
2 months ago, okay.
I would say it took about 4 months once I started working with you all.
And then were you looking at other apartments, or did you look at a few, or how did that work?
Actually, I was trying to look up a few on my own, but like most of these landlords out here, they don't want to rent to young mothers, or they don't want to rent to young people, period. And by me being on a fixed income, most of the apartments weren't even in my budget. And like, I actually was on the Section 8 waiting list. I've been on there for 3 years, and so I was hoping that was going to come through. That never came through. And so all the other subsidized houses and everything, I couldn't even get in on my own.
So it sounds like that you're describing a lot of the challenges that most folks experience is, trying to be on a bunch of waiting lists and then just waiting, which is difficult. So again, show's almost over. Any parting words or any suggestions or final thoughts? Yeah,
basically, I just don't want the people that's in my situation now to give up. I want them to, just keep moving forward, because that's all you can do, and get a positive outcome.
Because that's something that can happen, because clearly you're an example of that. You're on the way. You have a stable place. You're a great mom. I met your kids. They're very sweet and they're very cute.
Thank you.
And you know what you're doing. And the question is that the Homes team is going to continue to support you in that work. I'd like to thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm going to put up some final information just on Beacon. Okay. I want to remind everyone that our 20th annual holiday supper is Friday, November 30th from 6 to 10:30. If you're interested, please contact Peggy Rourke for tickets. The number is 773-298-6441. Again, that number is 773-298-6441. This year, we're really happy to be honoring Mayor Rahm Emanuel as the brightest light in Illinois, and particularly we're honoring the mayor in light of his tremendous support for the Plan 2.0 to end homelessness, where there's a strong emphasis on really working with youth, quickly housing individuals, looking at system collaboration. It's really quite a solid plan. We're also honoring Tom Goldrick for the Opening Doors to the Future Award. The Warmer's Heart is going to Beverly Bank and Trust. And the Children's Champion is Christine O'Reilly from my very own Chicago White Sox Charities, who's been a real champion for children's causes here in Chicago. So, Brittney, thank you very much again for being on the show. And looking forward to having your kids watch it when they get the DVD.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brittney. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.